Daf Samach Beis Amud Beis, right at the top of the Amud. We learned in the Mishnah that the two serum of Yom Kippur, that they are to be equal. The pasuk says that he takes two sirei izim. The pasuk says, so he takes two of the goats, two of the he-goats. So it says that he takes shnei sirei izim miut seirei shnaim. It says it in the plural form, sirim. So the miut is two. So I would know that he takes two. I would mela know from the fact that it says seirei that he takes two. So what is the Torah teaching us when it says two? Why does it have to specify two? I would know that it's two in any event. It's to teach us that they should be alike, so that they have to have the same appearance. That, as we learned in the Mishnah, that they have to be similar, b'kaima, that they have to be similar in the shneim shavim b'mara, v'kaima v'dovim. So it's shneim shavim minayin. Minayin af al pi she'ein shneim shavim ksherim. How do I know that even if they're not alike, it's still kosher? It's a mitzvah that they should be alike. But how I know that even if they're not, that it's kosher? Talmud Loimer soyer riba. It says soyer. It says the word soyer extra. It repeats it, and it didn't have to. The pasuk says v'hikrev Aaron es soyer asher olav ger Hashem. It doesn't have to say soyer, and then it also says soyer asher olav ger lazazel. It didn't have to say the word soyer. I could have said v'hikrev Aaron asher olav ger Hashem. So it says the word soyer. It repeats it, and it says it to teach us that riba, we're marba, a goat in any event. In any event, if it's a he-goat, in any event it's kosher, even if they're not alike. Taima the Rabbi Rachman. Why do I say that it's kosher in any event? Because we have a riboy akro. Because the parsuk is marbet, haloi Rabbi Rachmana. If not for the fact that there's a special riboy akro, havamina psulim, I would have thought that it's psulim, that they are psulim, that if they're not alike, that they're pasul. Yikuvim in Olon. Where would I have thought? How would I have thought that it's ma'akiv? Generally speaking, if the Torah says that this is what's to be done, it's a mitzvah. But by kachim, we don't know that it's ma'akiv unless the Torah indicates to us that this mitzvah has to be done, and if it's not done, it's possible. Where do we see over here? What would be the havamina to think that it must be done? If not, it's possible. Because the Gemara says, it says 3 times, it says 2. It repeats it 3 times that has the shnei seirim. So I would have thought we have a general principle of Shana Lav Akra, Akosav La'akiv. When the Torah repeats it, Shana Lav Akosav La'akiv, it repeats to teach you that it's ma'akiv, that it must be done, that it's possible if it's not done. So here it says it 3 times. So therefore, I would have thought that it's ma'akiv. Therefore, since it says shnei 3 times, that's what it's ma'akiv. It says soyer riba, that it's not ma'akiv. Well, now that the Torah is marbet with the soyer, shnei, lamali. What do I need? Shnei. What do I need this for? What is it teaching me? What this extra word by repeating it, by saying it? Or answers it's telling you that it has to be alike. In 3 aspects it has to be alike: appearance and height, and for the value of it. It has to be alike in these 3 ways. Taiz Shonim asks, what about the kikasim ke'echad? How will we marvel that it should be purchased at the same time? He said that we don't need a special riba because it says yikach shnei sirizim. It says yikach shnei sirim, that the lakich has to be ke'echad. So therefore, we learn out that there's a mitzvah that they should be alike. However, we have a riboy, soyer, that even if they aren't, it's still kosher. We have a similar limud, a similar shakalataya by the kvosim of the lambs of Mitzvah. It says on the 8th day of his Tara, the pasuk says that he takes the shnei kvosim. The pasuk says of a Yomi Hashmini yikach shnei kvosim timimim v'chavsa achas ba'as shnasa timima shleisha esrei mitzvahs mincha b'lu Hashem v'lo yechad shaman. So it says that he takes the 2 lambs of the kvosim, and he uses this for his Tara, for the Mitzvah. So miyut kvosim shnaim. It says in the plural form kvosim. the minimum is 2. Ma'atam v'lomer shnei. So why does it say shnei 2? Why does it tell us 2? Again, sheyu shneim shovim, that they have to be alike. How do I know that even if they weren't, if he was not a kind of this mitzvah, but nevertheless it's kosher? It says keves keves. It says riba. It's for marbe. The pasuk says v'lo kachayin es hakeves ha'echad, and it also says v'shachad es hakeves. It doesn't have to specify keves. We would know it's a keves. It says this word, which seems to be redundant, to be marbe, that it's riba mikol makam. Even if they are not alike, it's still kosher. Time of the Rabbi Rahman. Now, we say, therefore, it's kosher even if they're not alike, because we have this riboy. But haloi Rabbi Rahman havamina psul, I would have thought that they're pasul. What would be the havamina? From where would I derive to say that it would be pasul? Or says al gadai tachamina tieksi. I would have thought, because the pasuk says tia, and tia means that this is the way it should be. It says Zois tia teres mitzvah tarasavu alakain. Tia means that it has to be. This is it shall be. Now, I might have thought that it's a kuva. It has to be done precisely in this way. And if it's not, and if they're not similar, then I would think that it's possible. So therefore, I have to have this riba to tell me that b'diavad is kosher. Now that we have this riboy tia lamali, what is the limud from tia? Or answer l'shar havi also shel mitzvah, for the other performances, the other mitzvahs of the mitzvah. Over there, it is ma'akiv. For instance, like Rabbeinu Yaakov says, that it has to be sprinkled using the eseres and the shlit tailas, and it has to be used with the cedar wood, the thread, the crimson head thread, and the hyssop. There, that's for sure. Also, that is ma'akiv. And we learn in similar ways. Some are shakatar by mitzvah, by the first day of the tar mitzvah, with the birds of the mitzvah. It says in the pasuk, it says legabi the tziparim, legabi the birds. It says v'tziva hakohen v'lokach lemitayir shtei tziparim chayes teres veis erez v'shnei tolas v'ezev. That he takes the 2 birds that are alive, the 8 erez, and he takes the cedar wood, shnei tolas, and he takes the crimson, the thread, and v'ezev in the hyssop. So he takes these things, and he shechs one bird, and he collects the dam, and mixes it. The dam is mixed with water, and he dips the other ones into this blood, into this mixture, and he uses it for the hazos. So we learn over there. It says tziporim. It says tziporim in the plural. Mia tziporim shnayim. The minimum, that would imply 2. So we would know there has to be 2 birds. So why does the Torah have to tell us that he takes shtei tziporim? So it says v'lokach shtei tziporim sheyu shteim shavas, again to teach us this principle that they have to be alike. And how do I know even if they're not alike that they're kosher? It says tzipor tzipor, which it doesn't have to say, it's redundant to tell you riba. In any event, if they're not alike, if it's a tzipor, it's kosher. The pasuk says v'tziva hakoyin v'shachar esat tzipor achas, and it says it's a tzipor achai yikach, and it doesn't have to say tzipor. It could say achai yikach or v'tziva hakoyin v'shachar. So it says tzipor to tell you that mikol makam, even if they're not alike. Again, time of the Rabbi Rahmana, so it's only we say that it's kosher even if it's not alike, because we have this special riboy. Haloi Rabbi Rahmana psulois, but if not, I would have said they're psulos ikuvim and nolan. Where would I derive this, that they would be ma'akev, that it has to be ma'akev, if not they're pasul? Because al kadai techamina tieksi. I would have thought it says tia. And since it says tia, that it has to be, this must be done. Shall be. It has to be done precisely in this manner. So therefore, I need a riboy to tell me that even if they're not alike, it's kosher. So what is it? Tieva for the shar havyasa shel mitzvah. For the other performances, the other mitzvahs, the rest of the mitzvahs of the mitzvah, there it is ma'akiv, but that they have to be alike is not ma'akiv. Correct the Gemara. Well, why don't we have the same limud, the same shakal v'tarya ihachi gabe tamidim nami by the korban tamid? Nema kevosim. It says kevosim. So by the tamid, it says in the Torah that he takes v'zah asher tasa al hamizbeh kevosim b'nei shana shnaim le'yom tamid. You take for the korban tamid. There's two that are taken daily, one in the morning, one in the evening. It says kevosim. So miyat kevosim shnaim. The minimum amount of the plural of kvosim is two. So matamid loimer shnaim. So why does it have to specify and say shnaim? I would know that it's shnaim. Why does it have to say shnaim le'yom, two? So there again, why don't we say the same thing? Shiyu shnaim shavim. That they have to be the similar. They have to be alike. And how would I know that even if they're not the kosher? Talmud loimer keves keves riva. It says keves keves. And it says where it doesn't have to say it. It's riva. It's a keves echad tasa b'bayim. Keves a keves a sheni tasa bein arabayim, and it should be marbet even if they're not alike. And would you say that over here that by the Talmud the mitzvah they have to be alike? We don't find anywhere that there's a mitzvah that the Talmud that the lambs have to be alike. So why don't we have the same limud over there by the Talmud? The Gemara answer is no. I have a different limud for the Talmud. Hahu mi boy, look at the Tanya and even for the following. Shnayim layoim. It says shnayim layoim. What is the shnayim? To touch it, shnayim layoim. You learn it in conjunction with what it says layoim. Keneged hayoim. It has to be opposite the day. Keneged hayoim. That it has to be shechted opposite the rays of the sun. Which we'll see in a minute what that means. Ata omer keneged hayoim. Do you say that it means opposite the day, or eino ela chayvus hayom, or it may mean shnaim layoim? It's an obligation, two per day. Every day you have to do two. Maybe that's what it means. No, kishu omer es hakeves echad tasa v'bei keves hakeves hasheni tasa bein arbaim. It specifies clearly that one is done in the morning, one is done in the afternoon. So we see clearly that there are two that are done, are offered every day. Hare chayves hayoim. Oh, the chayves hayoim is already stated. Uma ani mekayim shnaim leyoim. So how do I mekayim what it says shnaim leyoim keneged hayoim? It should be opposite the rays of the sun. Keitza Talmud shel Shachar haya nishchad al keren svinus ma'aroves. The Talmud shel Shachar was shechted on the keren svinus ma'aroves al taba shniyah. We shall explain that in a moment. We shall bein arbaim haya nishchad al keren mizrachas svinus on the bein arbaim in the afternoon. It is in the northeast al taba shniyah. So it has to be shechted opposite the rays of the sun. So if this is the Mizbeach, and this is east, and this is west, and this is north, so the Talmud in the morning is shechted opposite the rays of the sun. The sun is in the east in the morning, in the northeast. The rays of the sun will therefore shine to the west. So therefore, it was done by the northwest corner of the Mizbeach. Now, next to the Mizbeach, there were rings. There were 24 rings next to the Mizbeach. There were rings on hinges. The animal's neck was placed down on the floor, and the ring then was covered over on it. Then it covered over its neck, and it was secured. The neck was secured in this ring so that they could shech the animal without it thrashing around. They did it on the second ring so that the first ring would secure the neck, and then the second ring would be able to secure the rest of the body, the animal. So they would do it on there's the row of rings. They wouldn't do it on the first one right at the northwest corner. They would do it on the second one. There were rows of rings. They would do it on the second one. So that the shchita, it should be facing the rays of the sun that are coming from the east. So it's facing, the rays are coming this way, it's facing it. And the afternoon was just the opposite. The sun sets in the west, so the rays of the sun are coming from the west, so they would be on the northeast corner of the Mizbeach. So it's coming from, and it sets and it's coming this way, so it would be on the northeast of the Mizbeach. Again, not on the first ring, but on the second ring on the northeast section of the Mizbeach. So that's what it's teaching you, that it's keneged hayoim, it's opposite the rays of the sun. Now, Musafim Shel Shabbos, but the Musaf of Shabbos, Varetz Reil Shush name Shavim. There it had to be Shavim. There it had to be equal because it says Yomi Shabbos Shnei Chavosim. So it says two. So therefore, there's a mitzvah that they should be alike. Ton Rabbanan Shnei Sir Yoma Kippurim Sheshachtem B'chutz, the two Sir Yom Kippur. If he shechted it outside the Azora, there's an Isser of Shchutei Chutz. There's an Isser of shechting outside the Azora. Well, Pesach Oil Moed Lo Yeviu. If he doesn't bring it to the Oil Moed and he shechts it outside, he's chayav koros. So Ad Shaloi Higra Leim, if it's before the girl, he made the girl chayav al Shnei. He's chayav for both of them. But after the girl, Chayv Shel Shem, Potter Shal Shel Azazel. But after the girl, he's Potter on the Azazel because it's not supposed to be brought al Pesach Moed. It's not the korban that you're makriv, but he's Chayv on the one Shel Shem. But before the girl, he's Chayv on both of them. For both of them. Well, before the girl, you can't be makrav. The Isser of Shchutei Chutz is you're supposed to bring it on Pesach Oil Moed. You didn't bring it to Oil Moed, you're chayiv for shechting it b'chutz. But over here, before the girl, you can't be makrav it anyway. Why is he chayiv? Amar of Chisda Oil V'roy L'Sora Nasa b'chutz. Because even though it's not roy for the Sora Nasa b'fnim, however, it is a soyer, and on Yom Kippur you also have the musaf. It would be roy for the korban musaf, and therefore it's something that has a kedushas aguf. You could be makrav it for the musaf. V'shachs b'chutz is chayav. Why are you saying that it's not chayav for because on account of the Sora Nasa B'fnim is not chayav the mechusar agrola because the girl hasn't been made yet? Well, the Sora Nasa B'chutz, but for the musaf also nami lechaz, it's also not roy because the mechusar avodas hayom, because its time hasn't come yet. It's mechusar avodas hayom. The sequence is that it's only your makrafit after you do the Sora Nasa B'fnim. So its time hasn't come yet. So why should it be chayav for shchutei chutz? It's not time to bring it al Pesach Oil Moed. Because Rav Chisda holds that if you're to be makravit on that day, even though it's not yet the time of that day, it's only later on the day, but you're supposed to be makravit on that day, that's not called mechusar zman. That's not called mechusar zman, and instead you'd be over for shchutei chutz, vel Pesach Oil Moed lo yaviu. It's something that you should bring, maybe not at this moment, but today you should bring it. V'shas b'chutz is chayav. So the Gemara will have a discussion on this principle throughout the next Amud.